Okay, let's continue to look at some of these problems. Now we have a little bit of a word problem. So notice with the word problems, you want to define the variable. That's step one. I will tell you that most often students forget that step because it seems like, well, that's really obvious, right? What is the variable? But that's what we were seeing before in a lot of the word problems. We're defining the variable. Then we want to set up the equation. That's step two. Solve the equation, step three. Answer the question in a complete sentence, that's step four. What step is missing here that I've been talking about over and over and over again that I want you to do? Step five, what do you say step five is? Check! Yes, I want you to check. Okay, 10 less than 3 times a number is twice the same number. What is the number? So, what is the number is the question. The question leads us to the need for a variable. It's something we don't know. So, you can use whatever letter you want. Most often we use X. So, we could say X is the number. This is step one. We have defined the variable. Okay, we said what the variable represents. Step two, we want to set up an equation. So reading this, 10 less than 3 times a number. Can anyone translate that into algebra for me? How would that look? 10 less. Yes. 3x minus 10, because there's the 10 less. It's not 10 is less than. We're going to get to that later. That's inequalities. 10 less than 3 times a number is an equal sign. And then twice that same number. How would you write that? 2x. Any questions on how that translates? Okay, step 3. Now we can solve it. Who can tell me what should I do to solve it? Yes. Now because we haven't talked about the multiplication property yet, we're going to talk about that next. I might actually subtract 2x from both sides. That's because if I do that, I will end up with a positive value of x. You see how if you were to subtract the 3x from both sides, you would end up with a negative value of x? You will. You will get the same answer either way. It's just we haven't learned the next property of the multiplication property. So we have x minus 10 equals what? 0. Good. Okay, now what should you do to get x by itself? X is hanging out with negative 10. We want to get at negative 10 away. How do we get him away? Yeah, because if you owe me 10, you got to pay me back 10. And so I get x equals 10. The number is 10. Okay, there's step 4. You could probably write a better sentence than that. It's more descriptive. Maybe you say, I don't know, something. And then 5, our check is 3 times 10 minus 10. Is this equal to 2 times 10? And it turns out that 30 minus 10 is equal to 20. So that worked out, right? If we checked it. Okay, here's another one. Jack has saved $1,134 towards a flat screen TV. If the TV costs $2,500, how much must he save? So the question, how much must he save? And you might have already done this mentally, but remember we want to start with step 1, defining the variable. Let's let x represent what? What is the question? Should represent, the money he must save. Okay, step 2, we want to write an equation. Who can tell me what the equation would be? Equals x. Now, that is that equation actually would work. We want to be able to solve it though. So how could we put x into it so that we'd be able to undo using addition and subtraction? Basically, we could say, well, he has $1,000 $134. He needs to save a certain amount more in order for this to equal $2,500. You see the difference? Yours had it already solved, right? So I kind of want to put X in the mix. Now, how do we solve for X? Right? Is this what you would do? Who can tell me how much money he needs to save? I should do it on my calculator. 1,366. He must, step 4, step 3, we solved it. He must save 1,366, and then you could check that as well. Okay, so dealing with a few word problems, and what we're going to do next